Ceasefire? Should Israel pause its war against Hamas? Here's what Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu had to say about that.
Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas after the horrific attacks of October 7th.
Folks, this war has just begun, and Israel shouldn't be expected to pause its effort as it moves into place for battle. Remember, there are 230 hostages, including Americans, that have yet to be rescued. The only way there should be a ceasefire is if Hamas agrees to release the hostages. I grieve for the thousands who've lost their lives on both sides and pray there will not be thousands more. But the only way that can happen is if Hamas, not Israel, surrenders. Would FDR have stopped the fighting against Japan before the Battle of Midway? Would Eisenhower have paused the Normandy invasion for a ceasefire with the Nazis? Why are some world leaders and others demanding this of Israel? Even former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton rejected a ceasefire, saying it would be a gift to Hamas because they would use the pause in fighting to rearm themselves and create stronger positions. Prime Minister Netanyahu quoted the Bible this week during his national address.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war. This is a time for war, a war for our common future. Today we draw a line between the forces of civilization and the forces of barbarism. It is a time for everyone to decide where they stand. Israel will stand against the forces of barbarism until victory.
A time for peace and a time for war. Netanyahu took that Bible verse from Ecclesiastes 3, which begins by saying there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And in verse 8, just before a time for peace and a time for war, it says there's a time to love and a time to hate. The problem is there isn't much love here, only hate and anti-Semitism. Jonathan Tobin, editor-in-chief of the Jewish News Syndicate, wrote a column this week contending that people should, quote, stop pretending that the Palestine protests are about human rights. If they were, they'd be protesting Hamas's terrorism. Tobin believes hatred for the Jews is at the heart of the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests. I agree with Tobin, but I'd take it one step further. Folks, what's going on here is hatred for God. The Jewish people are God's chosen, his elect. The people of the covenant he made with Abraham, passed down to Isaac, Jacob, and you and me through the blood and sacrifice of the Lamb, Jesus Christ. Deep down, Jew hatred is God and Christian hatred, hatred for the people of Yahweh. FBI Director Christopher Wray says anti-Semitism in the U.S. has now reached a historical level. It was on full display this week in Washington, D.C., when one motorist blocked a bicycle lane, endangering the safety of a bicyclist and her child.
All I'm asking you to do is move out of the bike lane.
I don't care what you're asking. I don't got to comply with you.
No, of course not. But that's just the law.
So go around.
It's not safe. I don't want to go into the contra lane.
Safe for you. Your life is not my concern.
I understand that. I am, in fact.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew you was a Jew. You people are the devil. Now we're going. I knew it. You are the devil. Now we're going, hey, bro, get to Karen, bro. She is trash. This is why you're doing this, because you think you are tight.
It looks to me like the devil controlled the mind and behavior of this man, not the bicyclist who was, yes, entitled by the traffic law of the District of Columbia to pass through on a bicycle lane without being hindered by an obstructionist motorist. This woman's faith had no relevance in this traffic dispute. Why was that even an issue? And whatever happened to love your neighbor? Neither person was willing to give an inch. You see, selfish pride breeds selfish pride and bigotry, doesn't it? I think if it were me, I would have waited for the traffic to clear, gone around the car, and continued on my way after smiling and telling the stubborn motorist to have a good day. Folks, what we need are cooler heads, focusing on love for our neighbor despite our differences. Yes, there is a time for peace and a time for war, but also a time for love instead of hate. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on the CBN News and NRB channels, YouTube, iTunes, Rumble, and now Xfinity Channel 1086 in Houston. And until next time, be blessed.